She thought humans eat their lovers then. I licked my lips. The room reeked of iron burns and sterilized fear. Jace Thorne pressed his back to the cold alloy wall, blood still wet on his temple. His breathing was controlled but not calm. Across from him, in the center of the detention chamber, the alien girl stared at him like a cornered animal. Her wrists trembled against the magnetic cuffs, glowing faintly blue. Her name, according to the cracked translator, was Kailari. Her eyes were wide, glassy, skin like polished silverleaf, slender and humanoid, but her body language was every twitch of her fingers screamed panic. She hadn't blinked in over 2 minutes. "Are you hurt?" Jace asked, voice low, calm, gentle. Kailari flinched. Then she whispered something that made his gut twist. "Please don't eat me." Jace blinked. "What?" she whimpered, shrinking back as far as the cuffs would allow. "Please, I didn't mean to disobey. I didn't mean to run. Just don't devour me." He stared at her, stunned. He opened his mouth to respond, but a streak of blood from his cracked lip trickled to the corner of his mouth. Instinctively, he licked it away. Kailari screamed. It was a choked, raw sound, something between a sob and a death cry. She turned her face away, entire body shuddering, as if she expected to die that instant. "What the hell?" Jace muttered, stepping forward. "Hey, no one's going to eat you." She shook her head violently, whispering in her native tongue. The translator stuttered to catch up. "That's what the old record said. The humans take lovers and consume them when their bond matures. That's how you show affection." "I what?" Jace stared, almost laughing. "Who the hell told you that?" Her voice cracked. "Our schooling. The records of first contact, all of it. The Terran species lured us in with affection and then consumed us during intimacy. They called it the final pleasure." Jace exhaled slowly, struggling to process what he'd just heard. This wasn't a language glitch. She really believed it. He looked down at the emergency beacon in his hand. The device was fried same as the comms panel. His escape pod had crash-landed just outside the alien compound 3 nights ago. No signal, no extraction, no help. And now he was alone, injured, and trying to calm an alien who thought he was a cannibal seducer. He knelt down slowly, hands up, voice softer. "Listen to me. I'm not going to hurt you. Humans don't eat their mates. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard." Kailari peeked at him through narrow slits in her silvery hair, her breath catching. "But the archives, the lessons are wrong. Or twisted. Or someone made damn sure they remembered us wrong." Silence hung in the air like static. Jace's eyes narrowed as realization crept in. "Is that why your people attacked the ship? My crew didn't even make contact. We barely got into orbit before we were hit." Kailari didn't answer. He pressed again. "Was this all based on that lie?" She looked up at him, eyes brimming with something deeper than fear-shame. "I wasn't supposed to talk to you," she whispered. "You're not supposed to exist." His stomach dropped. "What?" "They told us humans were gone, extinct, cleansed by the great purging cycles. But I saw a data fragment once, a corrupted file hidden beneath layers of encryption. It showed people, like you, smiling, touching. But then," her voice faltered. "What?" Jace asked. Kyla's eyes filled with tears. Then they kissed, and she screamed, and the human's mouth opened, wider than possible, and he consumed her slowly, intimately. It was horror and rapture. That was our warning. Jace stood frozen. It didn't make sense. "You think? Kissing is devouring." "That's how it looked," she said, voice trembling. "And the memory is passed, through generations. We feel it." He almost laughed but didn't, not when she looked so utterly convinced. Jace turned to the console in the corner and started prying open the comms box. He needed to find a signal, a map, anything, if what she said was true. Then someone erased humans from history, or rewrote them into monsters. He didn't hear her stand, but he felt her stare burn into his back. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "If the elders find you, they'll end the cycle." Again, Jace turned to face her. "What cycle?" She opened her mouth to answer, and then the floor, vibrated. Faint. At first, then stronger, a low rumble rising up through the compound. Jace stepped forward, scanning the wall panels. "What is that?" Kailari was shaking now. "It's them, the Watchers. They've detected a breach in containment. Me talking to you, it triggered the alarm." Jace clenched his jaw. His pistol was gone, taken by scavengers. He had a knife, a burnt-out and a terrified alien who thought affection meant death. Great Dot, he leaned in, speaking quickly. If you want to live, stay with me, help me get out. And I swear on my life I won't eat you. She hesitated, just for a moment, then the wall behind her split open with a hiss, and something not quite organic, not fully machine, began to crawl out from the shadows. The Forbidden Archives were right. Humans did survive. The walls shuddered as the hidden door finished unfolding, panels hissing apart with mechanical precision. Jace instinctively pulled Kailari behind him, not out of heroism, but raw survival instinct. Whatever was coming wasn't there to talk. From the black void of the passage, a gliding mass emerged. It had no eyes, no limbs. It moved like a serpent, cloaked in armor, body rippling with whispering tendrils. A single vertical slit glowed along its front, amber light pulsing in a slow rhythmic pattern. Kailari gasped. A watcher drone, Jace whispered. Friend of yours. She shook her head. They don't speak, they only correct. The drone scanned the room. Its amber glow passed over Jace, paused for a fraction of a second, and then shifted to It emitted a low, vibrating hum, then surged forward. Jace didn't hesitate. He grabbed the metallic pipe from the broken console and slammed it into the drone's side. It bounced harmlessly off, like it hit a boulder, but the noise distracted it just enough. Run, he shouted. Kailari bolted, her magnetic cuffs dragging, but weakened. She must have loosened the lock. Jace ducked under the drone's tendrils and rolled after her into the hallway, sparks flying as the drone scraped the wall behind them. They sprinted down a dim corridor lit by flickering violet strips along the ceiling. Sirens hadn't started, but the drone had likely triggered a silent lockdown. This way, Kailari yelled, pulling him toward a maintenance shaft. She tapped a glowing glyph, and the panel slid open. In here, Jace dove inside just as the drone slammed into the wall behind him, its hiss like metal screaming. The shaft door sealed. Darkness swallowed them. Only the faint pulse of Kailari's wristband lit the narrow space between them. They were chest to chest, breathless. After a long silence, she whispered, "You shouldn't have protected me. You don't understand what this means." "I figured saving both our lives was a good place to start," Jace muttered. "You can scold me later." Kailari didn't laugh, but her breathing slowed. "The Watchers only activate when ancient rules are broken. My people think the rules protect us, but really, they just protect a lie." Jace leaned back slightly. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then tapped her wristband. A beam of light projected into the air, displaying spinning glyphs and text that slowly translated. "These are excerpts from the Forbidden Archives. I wasn't supposed to find them," she said, "but I was curious." The hologram shifted to an image of humans, real ones, smiling, holding hands with Varelians, laughing. "They said our species made contact with humans centuries ago, but it wasn't war, it was partnership, emotional and biological." Jace nodded slowly. "The bonding ritual." "Yes," Kailari replied, "but it frightened our leaders. The emotional intensity, the physical closeness. One of the early bonds went wrong. A Varelian died during a neural overload." Jace winced. She couldn't handle the connection. She experienced too much too fast. But instead of understanding the science, our elders declared it devouring of the soul. They banned the rituals, destroyed the records, retold history. Jace exhaled sharply. "And turned us into monsters in your stories." Kailari looked down. "They said humans used love as a weapon, that you lured us in to destroy us from the inside. And what do you believe?" She looked up at him, eyes shining silver in the dark. "I believe fear rewrote our truth." They sat in silence for a moment, letting that hang in the air. Finally, Jace asked, "Why was I shot down? If humans were just legend, why attack me?" Kailari's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because the elders know you're not legend, and their terrified history is repeating." Jace frowned. "So they knew Earth still existed." She nodded. "Our outer fleets monitored human transmissions quietly. Your kind has evolved fast, faster than they expected. You're expanding again, reaching further, and the fear returned." "And you?" Jace asked. "Were you afraid?" Kailari was quiet for a beat. "Yes, but curiosity was stronger." Suddenly, her wristband flickered. She gasped. "They've triangulated the signal. They're overriding the shaft lock." Jace grabbed her arm. "Where's the exit?" "There isn't one. This is an inspection tunnel. It only leads to the subarchives. He narrowed his eyes. What's down there? She hesitated. Buried truths. The original data cores from the first contact era. No one's accessed them in generations. Jace smiled grimly. Then that's where we're going. Kalari tapped another glyph, and a floor hatch beneath them slowly unlocked. As they descended into the lower shaft, Jace looked back one last time. Above, a hiss echoed. The Watcher was breaking through. They landed in a dark, cavernous room. Rows of glowing orbs stretched out like tombs beneath dust and silence. Each one pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat from the past. Kailari walked to a central core and placed her hand on it. It will only open for bonded presence, she whispered. 2 minds connected. Jace stepped closer. Then let's connect. The moment their hands touched the orb together, light exploded from it. Holograms, files, voices from long-dead humans and aliens swirled around them. And then a voice. If you're hearing this, the humans survived. Kailari's mouth fell open. That's the Founder's voice, the one they erased. But Jace's face turned pale. No, that's my voice. She stared at him. That's impossible. The orb pulsed. Agnan projected a file titled Memory Loop. Cycle 41. Commander Jace Thorn. Why is a human ship buried beneath an alien city? Jace stared at the projection, blood running cold. Memory Loop. Cycle 41. Commander Jace Thorn. Kailari stumbled back from the glowing orb, as if it burned her. No, no, this must be some kind of deception, she said. That can't be you. This isn't possible. I agree, Jace muttered, eyes still locked on the swirling hologram, because I've never been here before. Never even heard of your species until now. The voice recording began to play, and it wasn't just similar, it was identical. Same tone, same cadence, same voice. If you're seeing this, the loop failed again. I'm sorry, I've tried. For so long, they never believe us. But the truth is buried below. You have to dig deeper. Everything depends on it. Kailari's breath caught. He's talking to himself. Jace slowly nodded. No, to me, before either could respond further. The orb shifted and projected a mapper 3D layout of the surrounding city, but ancient buildings layered in tiers long buried under the jungle, some overtaken by vines and corrosion. At the very base was something that didn't match the rest of the alien architecture, a Terran-style starship, buried, sealed, and forgotten. Jace pointed to the lower level. That's a human ship. That's my people's design. Kailari's lips parted. But that structure is thousands of years old. It can't be yours. He looked at her. Unless this isn't the first time I've come here. A long silence settled between them. The orb pulsed once more and displayed a fragment of corrupted footage. A Varelian and a human arm in arm entering the buried vessel. Behind them, others watched, unsure whether it was an act of unity or betrayal. Then static. Your people covered this up, Jace said. What? Kailari's voice trembled. They said humans brought emotional chaos, that they consumed identity, that they made us feel too much. He exhaled slowly. Or maybe, they feared what feeling too much might reveal. Together, they left the archive chamber and followed the old path the orb projected. Kailari bypassed the old lockdown systems, muttering forgotten clearance codes, guiding them down into the deeper ruins beneath the city. Stone gave way to metal. Metal, too, rusted steel. Vines choked the hallways. Roots had broken through bulkheads, but the structure held. This ship is ancient, Jace whispered, running his hand along the human insignia half buried beneath moss and dust. Kailari stepped carefully behind him, eyes wide. And it's Terran, no doubt. They entered what once was the bridge. Cracked display panels, shattered chairs, a skeleton in a faded Earth Command uniform slumped against the wall. Kailari gasped and knelt, still wearing the bonding crest. Jace crouched beside the bones and picked up the broken medallion, a half circle, etched with 2 species emblems intertwined. These weren't soldiers, they were ambassadors. The ship flickered as auxiliary power suddenly clicked on. Something had detected their presence. A new voice filled the bridge's soft, female one, distorted with age. Human Varelian, Alliance vessel, Unity 1. Emergency lockdown. Final log status, mission failed. Memory loop engaged. Jace looked at Kyla. It is a loop. This isn't the first time. This whole situation, me crashing, meeting you, unlocking the archives, it's happened before. Kailari's voice shook, over and over. But we forget each time. Or someone makes us forget, he muttered. They accessed the ship's central memory banks. One final log remained intact, time-stamped over 2,000 years ago. A human woman's face appeared, solemn and pale. Her eyes matched Jace's in an uncanny way, genetic similarity, or something deeper. We tried. Gods help us, we tried. The bonding rituals triggered a cascade of shared memories. Our minds, our souls intertwined too deeply. The Varelian elders panicked. They said we were infecting them with human emotional disorder. They called it empathic invasion. And then, the purges began. This ship was buried. We were buried. Our love rewritten as horror. Our alliance twisted into myth. The message glitched, then returned. Jace Thorne, if you've returned, you're the final cycle. This is the last chance to break it. You'll know what to do when the bond awakens. The log ended. Kailari sat in stunned silence. So, we were allies. More than that, we were connected. Our kind and yours, emotionally, spiritually. And someone made sure that connection was severed, Jace said. Turned love into fear, history into lies. But who? She whispered. And why repeat the loop? Before he could respond, a sharp crack echoed down the corridor behind them. They turned. A watcher stood in the doorway. But this one wasn't a drone. It was tall, slender, fully sentient, part biological, part machine, eyes like molten crystal. And when it spoke, its voice was calm and cold. Cycle 42 has exceeded memory bounds. Manual correction is required. Kailari stepped in front of Jace. You can't erase him again. The watcher tilted its head. The human must forget. The bond must not complete. Emotional synchronization destabilizes order. Jace's eyes narrowed. That's the truth, isn't it? You've been erasing the loops, resetting them, making sure our species never reunite. Your connection breeds chaos, the watcher said flatly. Emotion is infection. Jace pulled Kailari behind him. No, emotion is what makes us alive. The watcher's eyes pulsed, then prepared to be deleted. What did we do to them? Or what did they do to us? The watcher moved with surgical grace, each step whispering across the decayed floor of the ancient Terran vessel. Its glowing eyes never left Jace and Kailari. Cycle 42 breached containment, it said again, as though pronouncing a sentence. This construct is authorized to purge extraneous human memory. Prepare for cognitive reset. Kailari grabbed Jace's hand and whispered urgently, Don't let it touch you. If it makes contact, I forget everything, he finished. Including you. The watcher advanced. Jace yanked Kailari sideways, ducking behind the remains of a shattered control panel. A bolt of blue energy hissed through the air, scorching the console behind them. Sparks rained like falling stars. There has to be a shutdown command, he shouted. Kailari frantically tapped her wristband, interfacing with the ship's ancient systems. I'm trying. These codes are old and fragmented. Then we stalled. Jace popped up from cover and hurled a rusted metal bar at the watcher, not to hurt it, but to disrupt its aim. It barely flinched, but it bought a few seconds. You are delaying the inevitable, the watcher droned. Memory correction must be maintained. Emotional bonds must not complete. Kailari froze. That's it. That's why they keep wiping you. Jace glanced at her. What do you mean? She looked up, eyes wide with sudden clarity. It's not just about history. The bond, our bond, it's dangerous to them, to their control, the watchers. Not just them, she said, shaking her head. To the entire system, Varelian leadership, our elders, your commanders, whoever inherited the fear. They built the watchers to guard against it. Because, when we bond, Jace felt it before she even said the words, like a pulse at the base of his spine, crawling up through his skull. We remember. The watcher paused. Just briefly. You have initiated premature resonance, it said flatly. Synchronization at 38%. Neural compression imminent. Kailari turned to Jace, breath trembling. If we fully bond, our minds will sync. Memories, instincts, everything we ever were or could be will touch. It's not just emotion. It's knowledge, truth. Generations of erased history could come flooding back. Jace nodded. And they don't want that, because it means the lie dies. Exactly. The watcher took another step forward, hand beginning to glow. Separation is required. Kailari looked Jace straight in the eyes. We've finished the bond, here, now. What if it kills you? He asked. What if forgetting you kills me? She replied. She reached out and placed her fingers on the side of his face. For a moment, nothing happened. Then dash, flash dot, The world exploded in light. Suddenly, Jace wasn't in the ruined ship anymore. He was standing on a vast white plain under twin suns. The sky pulsed with shifting constellations. Across from him stood Kailari, but not just this Kailari. 100 versions of her shimmered in and out of form. Beside them, hundreds of himself. He saw a battlefield, a peace summit, a wedding ceremony lit by bioluminescent trees. He saw lovers embracing human and Varelian, their skin glowing from emotional exchange. He saw the first band, a human linguist and a Varelian empath. Then he saw fear, a council chamber, screaming accusations. They're taking our memories. They're merging with us. Leaders in both species panicking. Watchers being activated. Memories being deleted. Over and over and over. Every time we get close, Kailari's voice echoed beside him. They reset us. Because the bond makes us more. Jace staggered back into his body, gasping as if surfacing from deep water. Kailari collapsed into him, clutching his chest, shaking. The Watcher stood frozen. Synchronization complete, it said. Its eyes dimmed. Manuword override unlocked. Jace rose to his feet, cradling Kailari. The Watcher's posture shifted from hostile to reverent. You are the completed bond. Memory loop is over. Kailari blinked. You're not attacking. The Watcher's voice was calm. Directive fulfilled. Cycle ended. Custodial protocols reinstated. Access granted. A panel on the wall slid open. Inside, a glowing crystalline memory, corentient but preserved. Kailari stepped forward, stunned. This is the original, bonded archive. The one they sealed. The truth, in full. Jace walked beside her. Then let's take it and make sure no one ever forgets again. But just as he reached for the crystal, the ship shuddered. Sirens. Not old ones new. Kailari looked at her wristband. The elders are here. They detected the bond. They're not going to let us leave. How many? Jace asked. She stared. At the scanner, a dropship. 6 fighters, armed. Jace gritted his teeth. We need to go now. Kailari grabbed the memory core and slipped it into a containment pouch. But before they could run, a sharp thunk echoed from above. A blast. Door slammed shut. A voice boomed from hidden speakers. This is Elder Mavex of the Varelian High Council. You are in possession of corrupted Terran technology. Surrender yourselves and the artifact. Kailari whispered. He's the one who led the last purge. Jace clenched his fists. He's not getting away with another. You are surrounded. Resistance will be met with vaporization. Your bonding has endangered thousands of years of peace. You have 30 seconds to comply. Kailari looked to Jace, terrified but defiant. What do we do? She whispered. Jace looked at the Watcher, now still and silent. Then at the buried ship. The bridge had one last function. I say we give them our message, he said. We fly. That's my voice. But I never said those words. The ancient Terran vessel groaned as Jace powered up the controls. Lights flickered. Consoles hummed, and the aged systems of the Unity 1 came alive with a slow pulse like a heart remembering how to beat. Kailari stood behind him, clutching the crystal archive to her chest, eyes wide as the ceiling trembled, with the distant echo of landing thrusters. They're here, she whispered. The Elders, the Council. They'll destroy this whole vessel just to bury the truth again. Jace's jaw clenched. Then they'll have to bury us with it, because I'm not giving them another chance to erase history. He scanned the bridge. Come on, give me something. Thrusters, nav, anything. The Watcher unit, now docile and compliant, stood silently in the corner. It blinked once and then projected a diagnostic scan in mid-air. Flight integrity, 63%. Atmospheric launch, possible. Orbital ascent, unstable. That'll have to be enough, Jace muttered. Kailari dropped into the co-pilot seat, her fingers flying across alien glyphs with grace and desperation. I can handle shielding, but if the reactors overheat, then we explode. Jace finished. Yeah, I got that part. Above them, a rumble shook the vessel. Dust trickled from the ceiling. A voice echoed over the comms clear, commanding, Venomous, you are in possession of corrupted material. By Varelian decree, you are both to be purged for high treason. It was Elder Mavex again. Jace rolled his eyes. He really likes that word. Then, another voice, a new one. Unexpected human. Commander Thorn, if you're hearing this, I failed. Jace froze. The voice came from the archive crystal Kailari still held. Play it, he said, urgently. The projection lit the bridge. A hardened, but unmistakably him stood before them, in holoform. This is cycle 38, or maybe 39. It's hard to keep count after the neural resets. I've lived this moment before. Crashed, met her, bonded, tried to tell the truth. Always ends the same. Jace's chest tightened. They use the watches to wipe us, reset our species. They fear the bond. They say it makes us too human, that it awakens something we buried long ago, something dangerous. Empathy. Color. Eyes glistened. We were never meant to dominate the stars. We were meant to understand them, but fear turned us into liars. They told us emotion made us weak, but it's the only thing that ever made us strong. The image leaned closer. If you're watching this, Jace, don't let them end the loop again. Don't let them make her afraid of your love. Show them what it means to be human. The message faded. Silence. Jace turned to Kylar. That's me, or someone like me, from before. She nodded slowly. Every cycle, you come back. Every cycle, they wipe you, and still, you keep finding me. Jace's voice was raw. And every time, they make you believe I'm your predator. She stepped forward, gently cupping his face. Not this time. A sharp explosion cracked through the upper levels. Then, another. The elders were breaching the hull. Jace spun back to the console. Engaging engines. This ship's going airborne whether it wants to or not. The bridge shook as the Unity One lurched violently. Centuries of roots tore free from the soil. Stone shattered as buried metal pushed its way toward the surface like a beast rising from a long hibernation. Outside, Varelian soldiers scrambled. Fighters circled above. The jungle trembled beneath their feet, and then the ship rose. Slow, grinding, glorious. Altitude at 20 meters. 30 shields holding. Kylari shouted. Another, come buzz to life. You are violating sacred airspace. Turn back or be destroyed. Jace flipped the channel open. This is Commander Jace Thorn of Earth Command. I bring no war, no invasion, only truth. And if that threatens you, maybe it's time you asked why. Then he cut the channel. Kalari looked stunned. That message will echo across the stars. Good, Jace said. It should. The ship pushed through the jungle canopy. Leaves and shattered stone rained down like memories scattering across forgotten ground. The clouds parted. Starlight bathed the Unity One. Then a sharp ping lit the console. A weapons lock. Incoming missile. Kylari yelled. Jace threw the ship into a roll. The engine screamed. The hull groaned. The missile clipped. Their wing flames burst. Smoke trailing behind. We're losing altitude. We've got one shot, Jace shouted. Hit the pulse burst on my mark. Mark. Kylari slammed the console. A shockwave erupted behind the ship, knocking the enemy fighter back. The Unity One burst through the upper atmosphere, flaming, trailing history and hope behind it. As stars filled the viewport, silence returned. Jace and Kalari sat together, bruised, exhausted, bonded by truth and love. She looked at him. We're fugitives now, both of us. Good, he said. Means we're finally on the same side. They activated the archive core, transmitting its contents toward the nearest human relay station. The truth's out there now, said. No more loops. Jace nodded, but something on the console flickered again. A voice, but this time, not human, not from the past. It was Kylari's voice, the future version. If you're hearing this, you've broke the cycle. But the war hasn't ended. The real enemy wasn't the elders. It was the ones who taught them to fear in the first place. The architects. They're coming. Kylari stared in horror. Jace whispered, that's your voice. To save us both, I had to love the one who feared me most. Jace sat motionless, eyes fixed on the hollow projection of Kylari's voice, her future self. The architects are real. They seeded the fear. They taught the first elders to suppress the bond. They feared emotional convergence between species because it's the only thing that could undo their control. If you're hearing this, the loop is broken. But the real war is just beginning. The recording glitched, static buzzing in his ears before the message cut out. Silence. Kylari looked pale, her hands gripping the sides of the console. I don't remember saying those words, not yet. That's because you haven't, Jace murmured. Not in this life. But I will, she said quietly. Some version of me will live long enough to know what's coming. Jace looked down at his hands. The ship still bore the scars of their escape. The outer hull smoldered from re-entry. The weapons system was fried, and they were now floating just beyond Varelian orbit. broadcasting fragments of the restored truth into deep space toward Earth and anywhere else that would listen. The architects, Kylari repeated. They're real. Jace nodded. They're the ones who initiated the memory loops, who built the Watchers, who fed both our people fear and called it wisdom. He leaned forward. They weren't trying to destroy us, just keep us divided. Kyle frowned. But why? What do they gain? Control, Jace answered. If humans and Virilians bond, we share knowledge, memory, empathy, across species, across time. That kind of understanding doesn't just build peace, it breaks control structures. Kylari sat back. We're more dangerous united than we ever were apart. A small light on the console blinked. A transmission. Jace activated it, and a familiar voice echoed across the bridge. Admiral Vera Connoth, Commander Thorne, your signal reached us. We've reviewed the data, the genetic logs, the archive fragments. God help us. It's all real. Jace let out a slow breath. A diplomatic team is on its way. The Admiral continued. But you need to be ready. We're also detecting unknown vessels entering from deep space. Virelian patterns, but not Virelian energy signatures. Jace's eyes locked with Kylari's. The architects. She nodded. They're coming to fix the loop again. We won't let them. A second alarm chimed. 3 dark ships emerged from the shadow of the nearby moon. Their designs were like nothing either of them had seen. Smooth, geometric, gliding like shadows wrapped in crystal. Kylari stepped forward. They don't use weapons. They use manipulation. And, as if on cue, the ship's lights flickered. Jace clutched his head. Images, feelings, whispers that weren't his. Return to your post. This was all a dream. Kylari was never real. Kylari screamed. They're trying to override our memories. Jace gritted his teeth. No, not again. He staggered to the memory core that had rescued the artifact from the archive. Can we broadcast this? A full psychic pulse. Kylari's eyes widened. If we do, every human and Virelian within range will feel the truth. Not just hear it. They'll remember. Do it. She hesitated. It'll hurt. The bond resonance will surge. We'll relive everything, every death, every failure, every purge. Are you sure? Jace reached for her hand. I'd rather feel the truth than live another moment in a lie. Kylari nodded. Then brace yourself. She activated the pulse. The moment the crystal lit up, Jace's mind exploded with memory. He saw himself dying in cycles past, running from Watchers erased, rewritten again. Again, he saw Kylari different versions, different names, each reaching for him, and each being pulled away by fear. He felt every bond break, every scream, every betrayal. But beyond the pain was something else. Hope. Each cycle they had found each other, even with their memories wiped. Even when her people feared his smile. Even when his people branded her a manipulator. They found each other. The architects' ships shuddered. Their sleek armor rippled with energy distortion. The pulse reached them and cracked something beneath the surface. Kylari gasped. Their control grid is failing. Jace grinned. Let them feel what we feel. The architects tried to broadcast. Again, cease this connection. You were created to be separate. Emotion is instability. But their voices weakened, blurred, faded. Across the planet, Virelians collapsed, overwhelmed with vision of truth, of history, of peace. On Earth, human scientists saw the same. Empaths fell to their knees. Diplomats wept. The loop was gone. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was free. Later that week, the Unity 1 became the first ship, co-piloted by a bonded human and Virelian pair, to land at the council chamber. The architects retreated into deep space, fractured and scattered. Some believed they were simply another species that had once feared emotional fusion. Others believed they were AI remnants from the galaxy's forgotten age. It didn't matter. What mattered was that truth had returned. Jace stood before the unified council, both human and Virelian, Kylari by his side, the memory core resting on a pedestal between them. We were told love made us weak, he said, voice steady. That empathy was a threat. That emotional connection would unravel our species. He looked down at Kylari, then back at the chamber. They were right. Gasps filled the room. Jace smiled, because it did unravel us. It unraveled the lies, the control, the fear, and what's left behind is who we really are. Epilogue. Somewhere in deep space, 2 children, 1 human, 1 Virelian, read from a shared tablet under starlight. A story appears. Once, an alien girl thought humans ate their lovers, But one human showed her love meant something far more terrifying: understanding. They laughed, and turned the page.